And we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
Cheer on. That sounds totally fine. It's not inciting a riot. It's nonsense. But even if he said, let's go down there and burn it all down, which he did not say, but even if he did, guess what? The timeline doesn't check out. Rahim Kassem is the editor-in-chief of the National Post and co-host of War Room Pandemic. Welcome back to Newsmax, sir. You actually timed this all out, and it's impossible. The people who were storming the Capitol could not have been the people in front of the president when he was speaking. How are you tonight?
I'm very well, and thank you for having me. Yeah, that's the correct, unless they had either a time machine or a teleportation device. And then the distance between the ellipse and Capitol Hill, I went back through the Washington Post and NPR's reporting on this, just to use the left's own timeline of events on this stuff. And it transpires that actually, of course, nobody could have both heard the president and breached the perimeter of the Capitol in the timeline that we're told it took place. And I'll explain. The first wave of protesters, according to the Washington Post timeline, which they've got from the outgoing chief of the Capitol Police, was that the first people arrived at 12:40 p.m. They then said it took them about 15 minutes to breach the perimeter. Now, bear in mind that the President of the United States did not get up on stage until noon, until 12 p.m. on the dot, and spoke until about 1:11 to 1:13 p.m., depending on NPR says 1:13, other people say 1:11.
It's Rahim, to be fair, we've got a timeline that we're trying to match up to what you're saying. So 12:40, first protesters arrive at the Capitol. 1 o'clock, the Capitol chief sees officers attacked. Let's see, next on our timeline, at 1:09 p.m., the Capitol chief requests the National Guard. And here's the fascinating thing that I saw in your story and really needs to be highlighted. The president did not stop speaking until 1:11 p.m. And that says something right there. And how long would it take someone who saw the speech in person to get to the Capitol?
On a normal day, you can probably do that walk in about 30 to 35 minutes, but with roadblocks and crowds, I would estimate anywhere between 40, 45 minutes. So you would have to assume that the first people that had heard the president's speech wouldn't actually even be arriving up to the Capitol grounds until about 1:56 p.m. And that's the first wave of people from the president's speech. Now, you also have to bear this in mind. How many Trump rallies do we ever see where people leave 10 minutes into the speech or 15 minutes into the speech after they've been waiting 5, 6 hours in the freezing cold, and then they decide, oh, I'm just going to set off and go and storm the Capitol building? Firstly, that never happens at any of these Trump rallies. So we know there is a major disconnect between the people who were there at 12:40 p.m., the troublemakers, the people who were agitating at the Capitol, and people who had traveled into town to hear their president.
Wild, and thank you for that work. And forget that logistically it's not possible, but even if it were, you look at the content of the speech and it doesn't add up, not even remotely, not in a million years, to inciting a riot, but they're actually going to try this impeachment nonsense. Rahim, I wish we had more time. Please come back soon. Rahim Kassem, please check out the National Post and also